And good evening, baseball fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We apologize for the 1 week hiatus we unexpectedly took last week, but we are back and ready to go. And of course, by we, I do mean myself and my co-host, who has been rock solid, reliable so far, even though he's been super busy over on the neutral zone as well, covering all those great hockey playoffs and doing, if you're a fan of the network, you've probably seen him on every other show that we have here as well. It is Freddie B. Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening, Mike. I'm doing great. Thank you. It's good to be back talking some baseball. I kind of needed that break, that week off. I mean, I hate missing shows, but I was at, covering IndyCar races and Long Beach Grand Prix that weekend, and I was dead tired. So, yeah, that and the NHL playoffs, I'm pretty busy right now, but great to be talking baseball again. A lot of good stuff happening in the league, and I can't wait to share that with all of our fans.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we dive in, of course, if you're a fan of the show, please do follow us on X. You can follow yours truly at IESR_DMV, and you can follow Freddie at FreddieB_sports. We have a lot of catching up to do. Of course, there's been tons of baseball over the past 2 weeks, but we, of course, must start with our current score update with what we got going on this evening across the MLB. We already have one final in the books. The Rays defeated the Guardians 3-2 earlier. Good close game. Brian Baker of the Rays with his 7th save of the year so far, tied for second in baseball. So good performances from him so far. Across the league, we've got Cardinals are leading the Pirates 4-2 in the stacked NL Central. We'll talk about that one when we get into our review, but that one in the bottom of the 9th as the Cardinals try to close that one out. We've got the Red Sox, who we will talk about extensively here this evening, beating the Blue Jays 5-0. That one in the bottom of the 8th. Ranger Suarez having a pretty strong game so far, 7 1/3 scoreless with 9 strikeouts. Looks like you might get Jimenez here for number 10. We'll see how that goes.
He just gave up. Suarez just gave up his first hit of the game too. I think he went like into the 6th inning with a no hitter. So the longest no hit bid of the season, unfortunately, ended. But that's huge for the Red Sox that are transitioning right now. We're going to get into that, but big effort from the guy they brought in the offseason in Suarez.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, great to see that from him. And it looks like he just got number 2 in the bottom of the 8th there. We have the Twins are beating the Mariners 7-2 in Minnesota. That one in midway through the 6th inning. We have the Yankees beating the Rangers 4-0. That one in the top of the 5th. We've got a rain delay, Angels at White Sox. That one currently being delayed. We'll see if they try to get that one in. We've got the Cubs at the Padres later on tonight in San Diego, and the Marlins at the Dodgers as well. And just to while we were talking, that Arizona, or it's not Arizona, wrong Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates did go final there 4-2. So that one is in the books as well. So let's jump over into our news. And it's perfect that we had the Red Sox score because they have to headline the news, probably the news of every baseball show on the planet right now, with the firing of their coaching staff. So the Red Sox did indeed let go of Alex Cora, their manager, along with 5 other coaches. The timing of it being a bit weird, as they had earlier in the day beat the Baltimore Orioles 17-1 in a baseball game. Now, admittedly, that did still leave the Red Sox at 11-16 overall, or 11-17 overall. So, still struggles happening. But Freddie B., what are your thoughts on this? Why did this all go down the way it did?
Well, the Red Sox were off to a miserable start this season. High expectations for them coming out of the gate, especially with the Ranger Suarez signing. And then they had a horrible start to the season. And Craig Breslow's like, you know what? I think we've seen enough here. I've seen a decline under Alex Cora. It seems like over the past few seasons, he still has that stigma that he carries with him. With his days, being a cheater and everything like that. But something had to be done. Um, Offense has been struggling. They're getting solid pitching tonight with Ranger. Garrett Crochet also having a pretty good season so far. But to fire the entire staff as well, that came as a shock. Like they just clean house. Like he was on a short leash. Let's just say, a month into the season that I think there were intentions of probably letting him go at some point, but enough was enough. And Boston's one of those towns where they're probably the craziest fans and most dedicated fans in all of sports. We see that with all of the major Boston sports. So can't have them, falling so far behind the red hot Yankees this early in the division as well. I mean,
for sure.
No,
Yeah.
It caught me off guard, but at the same time, I've never been a huge fan of Alex Cora as well. So good riddance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. You make a good point about the Yankees. I mean, I've seen numerous theories over, the course of, the last couple of days. I think the one that probably makes the most sense given the timing, because it was just after 27, 28 games into the season. Usually managers get a much longer leash, especially someone like Cora, who has quite a history. So you got to think something else was going on here. There was most definitely a power struggle because, not only do you get rid of Cora, you also get rid of his whole staff with him. So you just cut the cord completely clean, no loyalty, no connection. And also the reaction to the players. Now, this has come out in a couple of different interviews. I think it was Garrett Whitlock that essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing, but ownership basically said, hey, we pay your checks, so shut up and play baseball, was basically ownership's response to, talking to the players about it. So it definitely felt like maybe there was probably some headbutting because, Core is also a personality. Let's be real about it. He's not exactly a quiet, calm, cool-headed manager. So I'm sure they were butting heads, and I'm sure, it's a situation where they don't want to divide. So everybody gone, coaching staff and players, just go do your jobs, and we're just going to move on from this. It's hard to argue though, because the team is, they won the day of the termination, they won the day after the termination, and they're leading tonight. So overall, a weird situation in Boston, but clearly one that ownership felt, hey, we're just going to rip the cord out. We're not doing this gently or easily. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Hey, look, sorry, go ahead.
No, you said, you really don't see this early in the season, 28, 27 games into the season. So we'll see what happens. Chad Tracy, the interim replacement right now, has spent time in the organization, in the minor leagues. He does have, some relationships with some of the younger guys like Roman Anthony, and Marcelo Mayer and Willie Abreu. Those kind of guys, I think he's going to be good with them. Remember, he comes from a lineage of managerial, as his dad was a coach, managed the Dodgers for quite a few years as well, and Jim Tracy. So, you know what? I think it's good. I think that Red Sox just need a change of identity, and let's hope that can bring something to them, because they were one of the picks for me to finish towards the top of the division at the end of the season. Now, that's still a long way to go. So we'll see what happens. Just like in other major sports, sometimes that coaching change can light a fire, and we'll see what happens. But baseball, it's a little bit different sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, the Red Sox just had a good case of addition by subtraction last year when they traded Rafael Devers to the Giants and went on a run. So maybe they're thinking, hey, if we're still having some problems here, addition by subtraction, move on from the problem and see if that doesn't turn things around a little bit. So we'll see how it all plays out. But on a more positive note, we did have a couple of records over the past week. And we're going to start with one's a seasonal record, one is a franchise record. We're going to start with the franchise record here in the only Mike Trout passing Garrett Anderson for most extra base hits by an Angel all time. Now, I don't know about you, Freddie, but when I saw this record, my first thought was, he didn't have that already?
Exactly.
It's Mike Trout. He was one of the best players of the 2010s. I would have thought he already cleared that. But Garrett Anderson was also a very good baseball player for a very long time. So I'm not surprised that this is a record that he had. May he rest in peace, by the way.
Exactly. Yes.
But yes, Mike Trout breaking this record. Freddie, you have been a big fan of Mike Trout for a long time. So
I was
is this just another piece in the legacy? Does it mean something extra special? What do you think?
I want to take it back for just a moment and send my condolences to the Anderson family. Garrett Anderson, I was a huge fan of Garrett Anderson. I watched his whole career growing up here in Southern California with the Angels, and he was an outstanding player, almost a career 300 hitter. Won a World Series, won a home run derby, won an MVP, I believe, or runner up in an MVP. Great doubles guy. And it sucked that he passed away the way he did. And just days after that, Mike Trout, passes him on the Angels franchise extra base hits list, 797. That just shows you how good of a hitter Garrett Anderson was. He was a double machine. He'd average 30 homers a season as well. So Trout, and he's having a rejuvenation of his career this year. We saw, the home runs coming early, and he's continued having a really great start to this season, something that Angel fans have been waiting to see. They're waiting to see Trout get back on track. He's had a few off years. Obviously, the injuries compile and make things a little bit tougher, but, he's the one of the shining stars right now in Anaheim, in a team that's kind of spiraling right now in the wrong direction. They just lost Logan O'Hoppe with a broken wrist. He's going to be out for some time as well. They DFA'd their closer, Jordan Romano, who they brought in the offseason, and they're going through some growing pains right now. And we'll see what happens. But as far as Trout goes, he's having a fantastic season, and I thought he would have had that record broken before. You think that's about the only other record that he doesn't have offensive statistically for the Angels.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right about the resurgent season as well. Leads the team in home runs, tied for the lead in RBI, leads in OPS, and second in WAR to the next guy we're going to talk about for the team, who also broke a record. And by the way, for context of these records, folks, the Angels currently sit at 12-17. So this is kind of your classic Angels setup. It was the running joke when they had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and now they have records being broken in weird years. But Jose Soriano, the
incredible
ace, absolutely incredible, set the modern, and we have to say modern because baseball statistics go back to I'm pretty sure convinced somebody's going to find statistics going back to the 1600s at this point. But through 6 starts with a 2.24 ERA, giving up 1 earned run in 37 2/3 innings. What do you even say?
I don't even. And the 1 run he gave, he's only given up 1 run this season, and that was a leadoff run in that Braves series, the second series of the season. It was him against Chris Sale, and he ended up shutting down. He has been fantastic. The first pitcher in MLB history to allow 1 or fewer runs in his first 6 starts of a season. And he's just impressing. I've watched his starts. the way he's out there and composed on the mound, everything is so fluid and smooth with him. Very deceptive with his off-speed pitches and his fastball. He looks like he's just out there ripping and throwing. He's really getting these batters off balance. The Angels have a really good thing in Soriano. Now, where is he going to be come July when the trade deadline comes around? That's another story. But no, awesome to see this out of him. It was a shame the other day. He went 5 innings. The Angels had a 3-0 lead. They took him out after 5 because his back was tightening up a little bit on him. It was getting a little high on the pitch count. And then Angels go and they give up 3 runs. So he lost his chance at the win. Unfortunately, that would have been another win for him. And he went 5 shutout innings again. And he's really, really something right now. If you haven't had a chance to watch him, Mike, watch him out there because he looks like he's got all the makings to if he can continue what he's doing, there's a chance he can win the Cy Young right now. We're talking about like Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet in the same league. And right now, I think Soriano's your front runner.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's 5-0. The only start he didn't win was that one you just talked about the other day. And I'm usually a little overly critical of pulling pitchers at certain pitch counts, but like you said, his back was starting to tighten up, and he had only pitched on, most teams try to get their guys 6 days, between starts, right, instead of 5. And he had had the minimal days between the last. This was his 3rd start in a row in kind of a condensed time period. So I can understand them being a little bit more gentle, especially with the way he's pitching coming up. Yeah, the Angels, by the way, 6-0 in games he has started, 6-17 again in the other 23 games. We'll see. You mentioned him at the trade deadline, 2.5 years of control he will have left still at the trade deadline. And if he's still pitching, even if he's at 90% of what he's currently been on right now, he's going to command everything from a team on the trade deadline. There might not be a price high enough to pay somebody's.
You also got 2 clowns in office with Artie Moreno and Perry Manassian, so they'd probably let his talent go to waste, just like they did with Ohtani, and got nothing in return for that.
Right, you're right. They'll let him get to free agency and let him walk for nothing. No, you're right. You're 100% right on that one. They also might hold on to him with like the clutches of their purse, like they did with Trout. Who knows? It's possible. But yeah, I mean, with the way pitching trades have been going over the last, to the last year's trade deadline, if a team does manage to trade for him, it's going to have to take multiple of their top 10, multiple top 100 prospects to get that ton. You do know at one team, and I'm just gonna, I like planting chaos seeds in baseball right the way, but there's one team I can think of that has multiple top prospects, would not be afraid to trade them, and just likes to see the world burn. And they're a stone's throw away from the Angels with the Dodgers. That would be, hey,
can you imagine?
They're like, we could use a 5th pitcher. Let's go get the best guy in baseball. Why not?
Throw in James Tibbs and maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, but yeah, great, amazing start to Soriano. It's a shame that it's probably being a little bit overlooked with him being on the Angels, as things tend to be, not only because of their consistently mediocre performance, but because of the team that's right down the road from them.
Yep.
I know they're not immediately right down the road. I understand it's a pretty sprawling area, but either way. All right, so we've covered our headlines. Now it's time to jump into the week in review. And Freddie, you actually had some pretty good notes we were seeing earlier today, so I'll let you kind of go with this one.
Where do you want to start with this here, Mike? Let's see.
Well, let's start with the ugly first, and then we'll get to the good
exactly.
stuff.
I think we need to knock this one out first, and that is, how bad have the Phillies and the Mets been? Both of them
so bad.
Both of them had double-digit game losing streaks, and these are 2 teams that we thought were going to fight for the division, just like we thought, maybe the Red Sox and the American League can fight in the East. Really disappointed in what I'm seeing out of those two teams. The Mets finally picking up a couple of wins after they lost 12 in a row. The Phillies had lost 10 in a row, and then they got, pick up a win and they get spanked again yesterday by the hottest team in baseball, the first team to 20 wins in the Atlanta Braves. They're sitting 9.5 games back of the Braves right now as we approach the month of May. Do you think they can, them and the Mets, do you think either one could right the ship and, 3 months from now, we'll be talking about them possibly making a push? Or have we seen their season already, on the brink?
It's a great question. I'm going to put my faith more in the Mets over the Phillies, and here's why. Because Mets ownership has shown a willingness in the past to kind of throw what they can into the ring to try to correct the ship.
Yeah.
If they have to try to make some trades at the trade deadline, if they try to have to move some guys around, I know the Phillies made a big move last year getting Johan Duran at the trade deadline. But other than him, I can't really think of much history of the Phillies making major moves around the trade deadline to correct issues. And I also don't think they have a ton of flexibility to do so. Financially, they have a lot of money tied up in several of their veteran players, Bryce Harper, Trey Young, Zach Wheeler. So they can't trade for a veteran with a big contract just because, salary limitations. Ownership would really have to be willing to open up the pocketbook. Secondly, they don't really have a ton in the farm system because several of their top guys they're currently using, Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter.
Yes.
They're trying to use those guys to win, and usually you don't trade guys who are helping you win to try to win more. So I don't know if the Phillies necessarily have the flexibility to try to make the moves necessary, especially given that, it would probably have to require them to bench consistently some of their major guys, like Harper, who's struggling, like some of these other pieces around.
The thing is, too, for the Phillies, they're one of the worst defensive teams in baseball, and that's something that they were not. They were a better defensive team the previous years. We're seeing them with a negative 15, runs saved right now. They're tied for 22nd with negative 5 outs above average as well. So these are things, the Phillies were pretty solid defensively. I know they lost Harrison Bader in center field over this season, and that's not that big of a thing. I don't know. I don't know where it is. They've got to get the pitching going. I watched the beginning of the game yesterday, the first couple of innings against the Braves. The Braves just lit up Aaron Nola. Like the Matt Olson home run in the first inning. I think they were up 5-0 by the end of the second inning already. It was something already bad like that. Nola was just getting lit up. The Braves offense is fantastic right now as well. But yeah, I would have some concerns. I think I agree with you more so with the Phillies than the Mets. I think I'm more concerned with, can the Phillies turn this around? I don't know. Maybe we're talking about a managerial change there as well.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, I have to redact my statement on Bryce Harper. He's actually second on the team in OPS. So I apologize, Bryce. However, I know not every Philly's going to go unscathed because Alec Baum, their third baseman, has been trash. He has been absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Trey Turner has not been hitting well either. And offense hasn't necessarily been their problem, like you kind of bring up. It's been the pitching. Nola's gotten shelled. Luzardo's gotten shelled. Taijuan Walker, man, he's getting destroyed. Zach Wheeler being back gives them a little bit of hope. And Chris Sanchez has still been pitching well, and obviously they still have Duran as the closer, who's been fantastic as usual. But man, they need bullpen help, and they need the rest of their starters to figure it out. And that is a lot to ask. You're talking about basically basically 2/3 of your pitching staff needs to right the ship.
Exactly.
At least you need at least 2 starters to pick it up because your fifth starter can stink it up a little bit. That's okay, but your 3 and 4 can't do it too.
You know what? They also have very high strikeouts offensively as well. They got 5 guys that have over 20 strikeouts, with Kyle Schwarber leading with 40 Ks already this season in only 102 at. Those strikeout, it's boom or bust with him. And right now,
sure.
With 196 average, it's bust right now with Kyle Schwarber. Making you think other teams are kind of laughing in the background that they didn't go out there and spend that extra money to bring Harper in. I mean, to bring Schwarber in. Schwarber got the deal to stay in Philadelphia. There were rumors of him going to possibly Cincinnati or a couple of other teams. Now the Phillies are stuck with him, right?
Yeah, I think between Kyle Schwarber with how he's played in Philadelphia and then with how Pete Alonso has looked in Baltimore, I think there are many teams out there right now that are happy they did not go open up the bag for some of these power hitters in free agency. But enough about the depressing stuff. Enough about the teams that haven't even made it to double-digit wins yet. We'll pass on them.
Let's get rid of it.
Let's get to some of the positive ones. You already brought up Braves being the hottest team in baseball, and they have been red hot, 8-2 in their last 10.
The Braves have been really good. They've gotten really good pitching. Chris Sale looking very good as well. I like everything that the Braves are throwing out there right now. Defensively, they're strong. Trying to pull up some offensive stats here real quick if I can. Let's see here. But everybody's mashing for the Braves, and really Acuna is one of the ones who hasn't really taken that step yet. Right now, he's only batting .239. He's got high strikeouts as well. Like to see him, get on base a little bit more. But Matt Olson's having a fantastic season right now. 8 homers, 25 RBIs. Drake Baldwin, maybe the best hitting catcher in the major leagues right now. He's hitting .311. And, Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies, they're getting really good production from everybody 1 through 9. And then when you get that pitching on top of that as well. And we're talking about, not having Spencer Strider, right? He was out early in the season. So you've already lost one of your arms there. The Braves are looking good. Everything is clicking right now. And like we said, they have a 10 and a half game lead over the Phillies and the Mets, who are the 2 teams that I think we're going to push them. Obviously, you got the Marlins still playing, a little bit above 500 in the division. But yeah, Atlanta's rolling right now. Kind of reminds me of the World Series team they had a few years ago before all the injuries, happened with Acuna.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their bullpen. They have multiple arms in the bullpen having phenomenal seasons. The combination of Dylan Lee, Robert Suarez, Tyler Kinley, and Raisel Iglesias all just pitching really, really good baseball. Even Aaron Bummer as well. All having a strong bullpen, man. People underrate it for sure. Who else are you seeing around the league who's on a hot streak?
Well, the Dodgers and Padres are battling back and forth in the NL West. Both teams, the Dodgers at 19-9, the Padres at 18-9. They're going back and forth right there. Liking what I'm seeing out of both of those teams. No surprise with the Dodgers. The Padres, though, obviously my team. I thought they were going to be pretty good this season. Still have some issues offensively. Jake Cronenworth having a real struggle at the dish right now. His average is bad. Fernando Tatis Jr. yet to have a home run. Where has his power gone? I don't know, but Manny Machado did have a nice weekend. They did play those games out in Mexico. The altitude may have helped as well. Ty France really contributing for the Padres this weekend. Those are 2 teams that are I think expect to be at the top of the NL West. The Yankees in the American League, I mean, they are the powerhouse right now. Their run differential is huge. They're third to the Braves and Mets in all of Major League Baseball, but they lead all of the American League by a wide margin, and they're one of the surprises, I think. I didn't expect them to come out this hot so early, but that you want to come out hot early this year because the rest of the teams in your division have been struggling. They're starting to build a little bit of a cushion. They're going to have their problems, I'm sure, as we get into May and June, like they typically do. But yeah, good on them right now, Mike. What stands out, for you so far with this season?
I think what's standing out so far, you're starting to see kind of a little bit of that separation. I
Yeah,
know we were talking about a couple weeks ago, most of the league, with the exception of maybe the Dodgers, were kind of jam-packed together within a few games of each
yeah,
other. Now I think you're starting to see that separation. You're starting to see teams get hot, teams starting to struggle. I've actually been impressed with the San Francisco Giants over the past couple of weeks. Not that long ago, they were 6-12, sitting at the bottom of the division. They've won 7
right.
out of 10. They're creeping their way back up towards 500. And look, when you start out in that kind of hole, getting back to 500, that's step one. So,
Yep,
to achieve that and achieve it relatively quickly, I think is a good sign for them trying to pick things back up. Also,
sure.
it's the entirety of the National League Central still. Everybody's above 500. Very
Hmm.
competitive so far. Only 3.5 games separate the Reds and the Brewers, first to last.
Yeah,
Everybody there playing good baseball. Only the Cardinals have a negative run differential. And I'll shout out one team. They haven't been playing great baseball, but they've been hanging in there and they've been surprisingly scrappy and having some good performances, and that's the Nationals. They're sitting there at their 13
yes.
and 16, not amazing. They're 3-10 at home, which is the worst in baseball by far.
Hmm.
But they're 10-6 on the road, and they're hanging in there in a division where two of the teams have absolutely blown. And the Marlins have kind of slipped up a little bit, get to second place and then kind of see what happens. And I don't think they're a team that's equipped to catch the Braves per se. And do I think, is one of the teams that's kind of lagging around them eventually going to figure out and maybe pass them? Sure, but staying competitive. And it's similar to what they did last year. They stayed
Yeah,
competitive through the first maybe 60 or so games of the season. And then things kind of tailed off. So I'll be curious to see. The starting pitching is still very concerning. As you can see, they've given up the most runs, I think, in all of second most runs behind the Astros
yeah.
in all of baseball. But they've also scored in the bunches. They've scored the third most runs in the National League. So the offensive output has been phenomenal. James Wood's been raking, CJ Abrams, and the like. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and let's not forget Tampa Bay. I
Oh,
almost forgot to talk about the Rays. They're 17 and 11, I think, just one game behind the Yankees, and they're having an outstanding start to their season. It's good to see the Rays back. They were so good. People don't really talk about how good the Rays were for about a good 6 to 8 year period where they were consistently the top of the American League East are fighting for a wild card spot, and had even gotten to a World Series. Um, yeah, Tampa Bay's playing great. They're getting really good offense, very good pitching. We know you're going to get like Adam McClanahan and everybody down there. Really good arms. I like what I'm seeing out of Tampa Bay. I hope that they can continue this and give the Yankees a little bit of a push as we get a little bit further into the midpoint of this season.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then to highlight an individual player, you brought him up in conversation, but man, is this guy having a season so far? Jordan Alvarez.
Yes.
My goodness. Leading all of baseball, not just the American League, all of baseball in batting average, tied for home runs,
Hmm.
hits, and he's second in RBI. So just overall amazing. That's a 1.22 OPS, which is like a video game stat. Like that's not something that happens in real life baseball. But I think the stat that has impressed me most with him so far, 106 at bats,
Hmm.
129 total plate appearances, 11 strikeouts.
Exactly. When
Not
you
even a 10% strikeout rate. That is absurd.
he's got outstanding plate discipline. He'll work a walk. He get intentionally walked. as well. You look about the guys who are mashing right now, the three leaders in all of baseball with 11 home runs: Alvarez, Aaron Judge, and Munetaka Murakami, all with 11 home runs. Murakami's got 41 Ks. Judge, strikes out a lot. He's got 34. But then Alvarez with that low strikeouts, the one shining light right now in Houston is him. Now, I think we've seen the Astros. Their glory days, I think, are behind us. We can say Jose Altuve is having a miserable season. Um, it doesn't bother me at all because I'm not an Astros fan at all. To see this come to an end, and I think a lot of Major League Baseball fans agree that it's about time. But yeah, Yordan Alvarez, that dude could just hit the ball to the moon, and he puts the ball in play. He doesn't strike out, like you said, very often, less than 10% of the time. So good on him. Yeah, big. I think he's the best player right now offensively in the league, and his stats are proving that.
And you brought up Soriano earlier with his performance, and could he be on the move at the trade deadline? You wonder. Alvarez, 2 more years under contract after the season, with the Astros going the way they're going, could he be on the move to fetch a haul for a team looking for an incredible middle
Sure.
bat? It's it used to not be, you used to not see teams trade guys who still had control or contract years, but that rule has not been the same rule over the last couple of years. I mean, great example, the freaking White Sox trading Garrett Crochet when he still had 4 years of control left.
Yeah.
Not long ago that was just completely unheard of.
It,
Now teams are like, hey, look, if somebody's willing to give me a haul, I'm
get
going to
the
go ahead and take the haul.
get the assets while you can, because you again, like the Angels, you don't want to let your best player, the best player in all of baseball, walk and you get nothing
Right.
in return. Yeah, trade them when there's still term on the contract, even if you have to eat a little bit of that. Do it, just so that way you can get the return. Because say a devastating injury comes along, and that player's hurt, then you lose the season that way. He doesn't fully come back in year two. Then you've just wasted 2 years when you could have had stockpiled some prospects in the meantime. So yeah, just something to keep an eye out. I think, Mike, as we go on in this season, are the guys like a Yordan Alvarez, like a Jose Soriano, and some of these other guys that maybe they'll be on the move. Maybe a Bryce Harper. Depending on how the Phillies go. Those are also
Mhm.
names you might want to see being kicked around. Maybe a Jose Ramirez. If the Guardians, aren't in a playoff spot, they're playing pretty good baseball right now, but he can be another guy that, you can get a lot in return for.
For sure. 100%. Yeah. Like the rules are no longer really the rules of the trade deadline. So, it could go a bunch of different ways nowadays. Now we've done our review, we've caught up on all the teams. Now let's look a little bit ahead before we go on our break here to some of the matchups coming up ahead for this upcoming weekend. We're already kind of seeing the games that are playing out for this week. So any of these matchups that are catching your eye, Freddie, as we look ahead towards the weekend?
I know there's really good ones starting. My focus is on the Cubs and Padres starting tonight. But as we get towards the end of the week on Thursday, you've got the Braves and the Tigers. Two teams. The Tigers are leading in the Central. The Braves, obviously, the best record in baseball right now. That's always that's going to be a good matchup. That could be a potential, World Series showdown if that was to happen. Other than that, another one I want to keep my eye on is probably going to be your Orioles at the Yankees. I want to see how the Orioles do at Yankee Stadium. Big series coming up, a 3-game series against um, the Yankees starting on Friday. So that's a series I want to look at. And then if I had to choose one more, I don't know. Nothing really stands out to me too much. Maybe like geez, maybe Cleveland and Oakland. Oh, not Oakland,
Mhm.
Sacramento. the A's, the Athletics, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah,
Currently in
don't
first.
call them Oakland anymore.
You know what? I knew I was going to do that at some point, but yeah, they're currently in first place in the American League West.
Yeah,
I like watching those late night games. You know, Cleveland, a really good team as well. They're starting to come around a little bit. So those are some of the matchups I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I play closer attention to the local teams here with the Angels and the Padres and the Dodgers. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. What about yourself?
yeah. So I'm looking forward to. There's two that kind of other ones that caught my eye. Houston and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Two franchises that have both, at least Houston recently over the past decade, traditionally near the top of the American League. Boston, obviously, a consistent contender, both struggling early on. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see if this series isn't one of the ones that helps pole vault one of them back into contention. The Red Sox are putting out Crochet. They got Crochet on Friday. Saturday is going to be a good matchup. Spencer Arrighetti versus Connor Early. And then Sunday they'll have Suarez coming back around. So probably about as good as put out for a series.
That's a huge series because Joe Espada, manager of the Astros, could be the next manager let go.
Right.
There's rumblings that he can be another one gone soon. I mean, he feels confident in his team. I think the players will rally around him, but that's a big series. You don't want to go into Boston and lose 2 out of 3. That's terrible for the Astros, who are already struggling.
For sure. And then another one, two teams that we just talked about for hot, San Francisco and Tampa. Two teams that are on really good stretches. I think that'll be a good series. Robbie Ray versus Shane McClanahan.
Yes.
It's going to be the Friday tip-off to that one. So I'm looking forward to that series as well. We're going to go ahead and take our break here. When we come back, we are going to jump into the minor leagues. We're going to look at our college ranks and then, of course, end off with our Around the Diamond segment. Do not go anywhere. You're listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Before we continue on here, a quick score update, of course, mid-show score update. We have another final. The Red Sox did finish off the Blue Jays 5-0, so they advanced to 12-17. So that's a great improvement for them.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Cubs and Padres have gotten underway, and the Padres put up a 3-spot on the Cubs in the first inning. It is now 3-0. That was a pretty quick start there for the Padres.
Great start.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say you're happy about that one, Freddie. Yankees continue to beat up on the Rangers. That one now 4-0 in the bottom of the seventh. Twins are still leading the Mariners 8-4. That one midway through the eighth. And the Angels and White Sox still delayed. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw out the prediction that one probably gets postponed to a doubleheader at a later date, given that it is already 9:00 Central, and I'm sure that game was meant to have started at least 7:05 Central would be my guess. That's probably when that one was supposed to get started there. So with that, we are going to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think the Angels wish that the rain didn't let up yesterday. I don't know if you caught any of that, but they had a lead, rain delay in Kansas City, blow that lead in the 8th and 9th. Go ahead and take the lead in the 10th, and then just to lose it on a 3-run homer in the bottom of the inning. That was a terrible loss. Got swept.
Was that the one where the hitter got the called strike 3 and ABS challenged, overturned it to a ball, which was clearly outside? I forget the name of the hitter.
I believe so.
And then he hit the 3-run home run. So
yes.
Hey, great example of ABS helping out a team and correcting the situation.
Yes.
For sure, right there. But we are going to go down a level, or perhaps 2 or 3 levels, depending on who we go to here. And we're going to jump down to the minor leagues, looking at prospects. These seasons are really starting to get going. They hadn't the first few episodes here, so now the minor league seasons are well underway, and some guys are starting to get onto very hot streaks. I'm actually going to lead it off, unless Freddie, you've got one that you're itching to throw out there.
You're probably going to take the guy that I was thinking about, but let's see who you got here, Mike.
Well, let's see. Was your guy Anthony Ianza?
No, it wasn't.
Hey, all right, cool. So Anthony Ianza, number 9 prospect for the Red Sox, 3rd-round pick last year, and what was a slew of pitchers, if I recall correctly, that the Red Sox took, off to a phenomenal start to his MLB pro career. He was one of the very talented LSU pitchers, if you remember LSU going on that College World Series run last year. Well, he, so far through, I saw the innings in 27 innings. Anyways, he's got a 13 2/3 inning scoreless streak going. He has a .54 ERA on the year to start. He has a .36 whip, and his strikeout walk ratio, for you math nerds out there, would technically be undefined because he has 0 walks. So technically he has no ratio because it's 27-0 strikeouts to walks. For the record, currently leading the majors in strikeout to walk ratio is Cam Schlittler. He's at a 10.25 walks to strikeouts, or strikeouts to walks. So 27 to 0. Rather impressive start for him. The other name that I wanted to highlight, and again, I'm going to throw it out, see if you were going to talk about Colton Emerson.
No.
All right, cool. I went 2 for 2. So Colt Emerson, top 10 prospect for the Mariners, most notably known for getting an 8-year extension before even making it to the major leagues. This past offseason, was hurt for a little bit, but he has come back from a wrist injury and is playing really good baseball. He's only 20 years old, but it looks like he is well posed to maybe make his debut in some way, shape, or form coming up here soon. Of course, it's going to be tough because the Mariners have J.P. Crawford at shortstop, so they'll have to figure out how to get Emerson up when he is ready, but he is back and healthy, and with a nice solid 807 OPS. So
807 OPS.
Top prospects in baseball healthy. A lot of the top prospects showing out. Obviously, Connor Griffin has made it to Pittsburgh and is here to stay. Kevin McGonigal for the Tigers, he's having a phenomenal start to his career. Top prospects, so a lot of top prospects having really positive movement this season.
Yeah. The guy I was gonna headline, I think, here is AJ Ewing for the Mets. He's currently, their number 3 prospect right now and number 85 overall in the prospect pipeline. But he's on a quick rise, starting at single A. Started this season double A, 18 games this season in double A before just getting recalled here to triple A. Slash line of a 349 average with a 418 and a 571 slash line. 2 homers. Power's not quite there yet. He does play a little bit of first base, second base. He could be a guy that can give the Mets some depth and be a utility player if he doesn't stay at one position. Left-handed hitter. If he can just start developing some power, I want to see how he gets, how he starts seeing pitches here once getting to the AAA level. It's a little bit tougher, obviously. It's the next step. It's a big jump from AA to AAA, but yeah, AJ Ewing is one guy, especially with the Mets, that I want to keep my eye on. They do need a first baseman, I believe, for the future, and if he can hit for power, I think that's perfect because the Mets can use somebody like that in the next couple of years, if not sooner. If he can tear up AAA like he did AA to start this season, there's a good chance he may be getting a call up here sooner rather than later. The second guy I wanted to call upon was Ryan Weidman of the Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres, here, our local team just down the road from us, having a fantastic start to the season, hitting 317, leads the team with 3 homers. You don't really see a whole lot of power in single A. 3 homers, though, outstanding so far this season, 20 RBI, but the stat that really catches me is 16 stolen bases. This guy is a center fielder. He's fast. He's quick. He can hit. If that power can start coming, that's another Padres prospect that AJ Preller, has stored away deep. They've done really well over the past 5 or 6 seasons with their prospects. I like to see Weidman. I haven't gotten down to a Storm game yet. I'm going to try to. And Mike, if you didn't know, tomorrow is the last day, I believe, for $10 minor league baseball tickets throughout all of minor league baseball. I don't know if there's one close to you. Obviously, the Lake Elsinore Storm right down the street from where I'm at. I'm going to try to get to a game here hopefully soon. But, yeah, check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am relatively close to arguably the most famous minor league baseball team in America because they made a whole movie about them, the Durham
The
Bulls.
Durham
So
Bulls.
I am absolutely close to Durham Bulls. I try to get to probably about one game a year,
Yeah.
just because it is still about a 45-minute drive, so it is still a little bit of a haul there, but it's always a blast and a marvelous selection. I don't know if you know much about North Carolina, but North Carolina has an absolute ton of craft breweries. So a
Ooh,
marvelous
okay.
selection of beer at the ballpark. In fact, one local brewery has their
Nice.
own permanent stand. Red Oak Brewing
Red Oak.
has their
Okay.
own permanent spot where all they do is serve their beers. They only
That's
really make
awesome.
they make 3 beers year round, and by golly, they are 3 pretty darn good beers.
S-
Um,
Speaking of the
I
Lake Elsinore Storm, real
will
quick.
Mhm.
Speaking of they just had Padres just signed Lucas Giolito last
Oh,
week
okay.
to a contract, and he made a start last night, went 3 innings, took a line drive, comebacker right at him, came away unscathed. But that's going to be a big arm. And the nice thing about the single A teams here close to home is you see some of these guys on their rehab stints, um, the big league players playing up close and personal, and that's always an opportunity. If you see, somebody from the big club going to come up, try to make those times, because not you get up close personal. It's a lot more intimate, and get to see them taking some hacks or rehabbing their arm and getting some pitching in. So minor league baseball is awesome. If you could get out to a game, catch it, because that's the future stars of baseball.
Absolutely. Do it. 100%. I agree with you on that one. Now we're going to take it down another level, maybe parallel. You could probably make an argument that it's kind of parallel to the minor leagues. We're going down to college baseball, and we've missed a couple of weeks of action, so we're just going to catch up to the best of our ability. And Freddie, I'm
Yep.
going to let you take it away. What have we missed? What's been going on in the world of college baseball here?
We had a pretty good series. Georgia Tech and North Carolina last week had a really good series. North Carolina getting the better of Georgia Tech in that one. Texas and Georgia, those teams swapping spots now. Texas is sitting at number 4, Georgia at number 5, but it's UCLA really leading the way. They did lose to Sac State Sunday night. They did, however, win 2 of the 3 in that series at 39-4 overall. Number 1 still in the country. And I kind of brought up that question in our chat earlier. Could this UCLA team be one of the best college baseball teams of all time?
They're certainly putting together a resume that would be, that would rival a lot of the best ones. And I mean, you're looking at, and I think there's a combination. There's both, especially when it comes to college teams, and this is universal across
Mm-hmm.
all sports. I think it's a combination of the seasonal success with also who goes on to the next level in the future and becomes a star.
Yeah,
Everybody talks about in football, for example, everybody talks about the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, not just because they dominated most of their opponents, but because they ended up putting 20 some odd guys into the NFL, and
sure.
they had Hall of Famers on both sides of the ball. UCLA certainly has guys who will be playing baseball at the next level. I mean, Ross Chalowski is going to be
Yeah,
the
the number
number,
1 overall.
probably be the number 1 overall pick
Yep.
in the draft in July. And, they have other guys putting up absolutely absurd seasons. Will Gasparino has 18 home runs with a 1.178 OPS. They have 5 regular starters with OPSs over 1,000,
Mm-hmm.
which is just absolutely absurd production. Um, yeah, so I think they've got a chance, but of course, you get to get to the postseason tournament, get to the World Series, and things can just kind of go in whatever direction they so desire.
Yeah, I think
Um,
they end their Big 12 or their Big 10 season this weekend. I think they're in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can pull that up here. But yeah, they can go a perfect undefeated season in conference play, which is, outstanding to go with, how well they've already done. They've got the prospects. I really like this UCLA team. Of course, it's a grind to get through,
Mhm.
the super regionals and the regionals and then the College World Series. And you got to get through your conference. A lot of these have conference tournaments as well just to get in, but UCLA is solid. I like them. Pitching is outstanding. Chalowski, obviously a phenom. He's going to be a star. Shows great speed, range, defensively, can hit for power. Really good dude. One game I watched this week, it was crazy. Nothing was on. I think it was like Thursday or Friday morning. I think it was Friday morning, like 9 o'clock. I have a little workout gym in my garage, and I put on some college baseball, and it was Northern Kentucky. Can't remember exactly who they were playing, but they stopped the game after 7 because of the mercy rule. It was 30-9.
Ooh,
It was
man.
it was like 18-6 after the second inning, I think. It was something stupid.
Man.
They batted around twice in one inning. Uh,
That is absurd numbers. Looking at the rankings,
ooh,
I mean, some teams made some pretty solid jump ups this week.
mhm.
Looks like Auburn going 11-8. Mississippi State, Kansas, Southern Miss, and Oregon all jumped up a good chunk. A lot of big fallers though. Florida
Yeah,
State, after getting swept
Virginia.
by Stanford, went 8-14. Virginia went
Yeah.
10-23rd.
Yep.
Huge drop for them. Alabama 13-24. So a lot of big movement amongst the top 7 stayed identical. Did no movement there, which makes sense because they all had pretty good weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah, no. Beyond that, though, lots of movement, except for Coastal Carolina. They stayed exactly at 9. They did not move an inch for them. Yeah, so and nobody dropped out and nobody jumped up into the top 25. That's
No.
kind of a weird one to see as well.
SC's kind of dropped down from where they were earlier in the season. They've had a couple of losses here over the last few
Mhm.
weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But still
it's
30, still 34-11. So
I
it's
know.
still,
I
still
know.
a really solid record there. So, none. The problem
Th-
is their conference is not as baseball dominant as the SEC and the ACC. So
exactly.
you need to show out in the I guess with the Big Ten. Are they in the Big Ten
They're
now?
in the
Is
Big
that, yeah,
10. Yeah.
Big Ten. You need to show out in the Big Ten really to get a good ranking
Yeah,
there.
the only Big Ten team that might be ranked, I think, is Nebraska. If
Yeah, I think
if
that's
they're
right.
still ranked,
I
yeah.
think that's right.
But
Yeah. All right. Jumping
yeah,
over
it's
now.
been good.
Oh, sorry.
We're getting down. College World Series is so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, you know, I, j- I love watching those games. Anything can happen. A lot of runs usually in them, high scoring, a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of a sport that is getting close to their World Series, or at least their postseason, the women's college softball, we are getting very close to their at least their postseason
Mm-hmm.
tournaments. They should be coming up here in the next few weeks. Actually, it looks like. Um, Yeah, so the selection show for the postseason tournament is going to be on Mother's Day. It's ironic.
Nice.
And then, of course, the regionals will begin that following weekend. So we're coming up on postseason tournament play. And let's see, what were some of your notes from this past week? Who stood out to you in the softball ranks?
Well, the thing is, Oklahoma still sitting at number 1, but Alabama, Nebraska is starting to take some of those first place votes away from Oklahoma. Don't have to worry about Alabama because they lost tonight against number 9 ranked Tennessee. So that's a big
Mhm.
win for the Vols. Bad
Yep.
loss for Alabama. Yeah, the weekend, similar to college baseball, not a whole lot. You know, going on action wise. Not a whole lot of movement in the rankings as well. Clemson and Louisville, who were unranked last year, making their way into the top 25. But yeah, again, college softball, I mean, you don't even have to be a softball fan. If you throw it on ESPN or ESPNU and watch these girls, these games are competitive, highly competitive. I dare anybody to step into the batter's box and try taking a swing from one of these pitchers that, are throwing 80 miles an hour, whatever it is, from 40 feet away. There's no way you're going to make contact. I played in like a celebrity, not like a celebrity, but it was like a charity softball game against professional women's softball team. And I think we got one hit that game. And we're talking about dudes that were, ex-football players, baseball players. Nobody could hit the softball pitching. It's crazy just how good that these girls are. And the SEC and Big 12 dominating like they have over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And very key, like we said, the postseason or the conference tournaments are going to be coming up here shortly. The postseason the regionals not long after that. So, some of these teams getting in their final conference games before that and getting some series wins, definitely good for them. You look at some of these highly ranked teams just sweeping their opponents, Texas, Kentucky, Florida State sweeping Georgia Tech, Oklahoma sweeping Georgia. These are very key things for these teams to be doing to get their momentum entering. Good Texas Tech sweeping Arizona State. That's big, with Alabama losing 2 of 3 at Tennessee. I think Texas Tech makes that jump in the next rankings for sure.
I think so.
Now, I'm trying to see where was number 4 on this list. I'm not seeing them. Who was number 4? Number 4 was Texas. I didn't see where did Texas. I'm not seeing a long. Oh wait, there they are. They swept Kentucky, so I could see Texas getting a jump up and maybe jumping Alabama as well. I could see that, although more than likely, given that Tennessee is also still a really good team in their own right, I think Alabama probably only slips the one spot there.
The Lady Bruins of UCLA, 44-5 right now. They swept number 22 Washington on the road this weekend.
Yep.
Both the Bruins men's and women's, baseball, softball teams in the top 10, both have legitimate chances of potentially, winning college championships, which would be awesome to see.
Yeah, combined record of 83-9 between the two of them. That is absolutely absurd stuff. And by the way, I do have to check really quick here to see if I didn't see if Tennessee's ERA was still below.
Oh, well, they only gave up, I think, 1 run tonight, so I think they're okay.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. I'm on sorry. The softball website, it has this tendency to go in one direction and you can't go back to the other one. So, but Tennessee dropped a little bit. They were obviously number 1 for a while. We discussed, and they actually, I think, but still ranked highly, still a very good team, and it'll be a very fun postseason in the softball world. As opposed to in years past where it's just been Oklahoma just dominating everybody. I think there will be some really good competition this year.
I think so as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to jump to our Around the Diamond segment where we just talk about anything baseball related that's eating at our brains. So, Freddie, I will give you the floor for your Around the Diamond topic.
My Around the Diamond topic, I just wanted to pay a tribute to Brandon Phillips. He had his number retired by the Cincinnati Reds. Brandon Phillips was an awesome second baseman. And if you got to watch him through the 2000s, this dude was such a great player. Career batting average of 275. He kind of bounced around after the Reds after his first, 15 or so seasons with them. But just a great player, good attitude, just a guy that you wanted to have on your team. And it was nice to see that the Cincinnati Reds retired his number and added him to their Hall of Fame, so to speak. I think Joey Votto is going to be the next one to get his name and number retired.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, Joey Votto is a Reds legend. I would say he would very much be the next one after Phillips to get his number retired. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go on a little bit of a rant. I intentionally did not bring them up in our week in review because I was saving them for this very topic, and you did not bring them up either. So I appreciate that. The Baltimore Orioles, all right. So they've kind of been teetering back and forth, kind of hovering around that 500 mark. Man, did they not have a golden opportunity this past weekend to just put their foot on the Red Sox throats? Holy cow. So you had the Friday night game where they bombed 6 home runs off of Brian Bayo, win 10-3. A struggling team about to fire their manager. Go into Saturday after that win, all the momentum in the world, facing Garrett Crochet, who had struggled to start the season, and just the absolute state of the Red Sox franchise. And they come out and they lose 17-1. Now, that 17 comes with a little bit of an asterisk because I think the pitching was not properly managed by Craig Albernaz. I thought they had a long reliever who covered a lot of innings because Trevor Rogers got pulled off an inning to third. Yeah, I thought it was Albert Suarez. I thought they pulled him too soon, and then they forced Keegan Aiken, coming off of injury, to try to go 2 innings. He gave up a bunch of runs, and then they put a position player in, and he gave up even more runs. So that 17-1 was artificially inflated. But
10 runs in the top of the 9th inning.
Right, absolutely. And then 4 of the runs given up by Albert Suarez were unearned. So it was kind of a wonky game in that regard. And then you come back on Sunday after the firings, where, like I said, management had made those comments to the players, and you lose again. And you had a golden opportunity to take a division rival and very early just punt them out of the conversation. And you lose the 2 games. You lose all of your momentum. I don't know what the heck to say about this team at this point. Just inconsistent left, right, up, down, and center. They missed Adley Rutschman for several games. He's come back and done very well. I saw a statistic. The Orioles only have 8 home runs, I think it is, out of their 3, 4, 5 hitters. And by the way, of those 8 home runs, 2 of them came in one game from Adley on Friday night.
Oh, jeez. So you're talking like Tyler O'Neill, right? Pete Alonso.
Tyler O'Neill's been hurt a bit. Pete Alonso's been the main guy batting in that range. Gunnar Henderson was there for a while, but he struggled, and he actually got moved up, and he's been hitting better. Although I think he's responsible for a good chunk of those home runs as well. And it's been a round robin of guys in the 5 spot. They have not had a consistent guy in the 5 spot because Samuel Basayo has struggled. Colton Cowser has struggled. Jordan Westberg, who would normally be in their 5 spots, been hurt all year. Tyler O'Neill's been hurt for a good chunk of the year, like you mentioned. But just massive inconsistencies. The starting pitching has been wild, other than random good starts by some of their young guys like Brandon Young, who pitched in the Friday night game and got the win there. Cade Povich has been doing well for the team also. And the bullpen, which everybody thought would be the team's biggest concern, has actually been the strength of the team, with guys like Ryan Helsley, Rico Garcia, Anthony Nunez all pitching very well. Yanir Cano having a random resurgence. Shoot, even Albert Suarez went 4 innings and gave up 0 earned runs. There were a couple of unearned runs here. So, overall, and that group is starting to get fully healthy too. So Orioles, my expectations have been lowered to, let's give it a 2 out of 10.
Okay.
So low expectations. We'll see if maybe they can pick it up. I will say they are, what was the stat I saw? So through 28 games, they are 3 games better this year than they were last year.
Okay.
Through 28 games. So
but you would think they could be, even better than that with some of those guys in that lineup. And I mean, And Taylor Ward too. He started the season really struggling. He's bumped his average up to 312, but he still only has one home run. He had over 30 home runs with the Angels last year. I think they were expecting him to have a little bit more power than what he's shown so far this season. But I think the Orioles, they got to work that the offense first. The pitching and everything else, I think, is going to hold, but it's that offense. And I mean, if they're still struggling halfway through May into June, then you're going to have, those are some legitimate concerns that you may want to start addressing.
Weird little flip for Ward. The last couple of years hasn't really been an on base guy, has been much more of a power guy, but he's been their leadoff hitter because he has a 424 on base percentage. So, hey, I mean, cool. Yeah. That's good, but that's not why the team traded for him. Admittedly, they traded Grayson Rodriguez, who hasn't even sniffed the mound in LA. What's the net loss for the team? Probably not much there, but yeah, we'll see if the Orioles. Hopefully, a healthy Adley can be one of the kickstarters to this.
One more thing I wanted to point out: Mason Miller, San Diego Padres, set the franchise record for 34 and I think a third scoreless innings. Guy's unhittable. The Reaper comes out of the bullpen. His strikeouts are down over the last few games. I'm seeing some contact being made, but like we talked about, this dude unhittable, number one closer in the game. So good on the Padres. Hopefully they can close this one out tonight against the Cubs, and he picks up another save this season.
Yeah, no, absolutely on fire. And we joked kind of, his strikeouts, he's only down to 2 per inning. Like he's got to get that back up. It's got to be at least 2.5 for sure. Obviously, it can't be more than 3. But yeah, no, Mason Miller. Look, I'm just saying, looking at the stats, if you focus in on the National League, there's a couple of starters who are off to a good start, but if he can keep this up for the year, I could see an argument. Well, obviously he won't have a 0 ERA by the end of the year. He's going to give up a run eventually. But if there were ever an argument for a season for a reliever to win a Cy Young, I mean, he's off to that start of that season.
For sure. Very impressive, dominant start. And if he can continue this and get, close to 50 saves and have a sub-1 ERA and, over 100 strikeouts, he could definitely be in the conversation, especially if there isn't anybody that stands out, starting pitching-wise.
Absolutely. Well, that'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Reminder, of course, if you are a fan of the show, please do follow us on X at IESR_DMV for yours truly, and for Freddie at FreddieB_sports. The plan is to be back next week to talk more baseball. Obviously, the college softball will have some very important conference tournaments going, so we'll definitely be highlighting those. Obviously, Major League Baseball will be in their full swing. College baseball coming down to the wire as well. Freddie B, any parting thoughts?
No, not at all. I just want to go and try to watch a few of the games. Now I could focus a little bit more on baseball as we're winding down the hockey season. The playoff games are definitely, taking a lot of my priority right now. My Kings, though, eliminated, so I don't have to worry about watching them right now. So yes, going to focus more on baseball. We're going to try to find some of these guys that I think we can focus on in over the next couple of weeks, maybe some prospects to keep an eye on. That's what I'm going to be looking forward to.
Absolutely. All right. Well, once again, this has been Freddie B and Mike Patt for the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You guys have a great week, and we will see you next time, and hopefully you can catch some great baseball games.
All right. Bye.